Hi again. In this screencast, I'm going to add the code that is going to let the user press the key to make the bird move across the screen. So I'm going to pick, let's see, I'm going to let the one guy be the Z key and the other one be the right arrow key so that when they're using the keyboard of a computer, they're relatively far across. They'll be pressing buttons that are far across from each other. All right, so what I need to do is declare a keyboard state variable. So I'm going to go up and I'm going to do keyboard state, and then I'll say keyboard now. All right, let's see what I'm doing wrong. Give me 1 second, make sure it is keyboard state. It is, yes it is. So what is it not recognizing about that? Oh, I don't have a semicolon above it. That's better. Okay, so now in the update method, so the update method gets executed 50 times a second. So the first thing the update method needs to do is query the keyboard to see what its state is. And then it's going to respond based on the state of the keyboard, whether or not the user presses Z or the right arrow key. So I'm going to say keyboard now equals keyboard dot get state. So that calls the get state method. All right, so now I'm going to say if keyboard now dot is key down, and then in parentheses keys dot z, and then what needs to happen? I'm going to move the player 1 rec. So I'm going to change his x coordinate by, let's see, how about 5 pixels? All right, and then I'm going to do the same thing for the right arrow key and the other rectangle. So I'm going to copy and paste that code. And then I'm going to do keys.right. And then it would be player 2 pixel, or player 2 rec.x plus equals 5. So let's see if this works. All right, I should be seeing. No, I'm not seeing it. So let's see what's going on. Oh, did you see what I did? You probably did. I wrote that code, but I put it in the load content method, and it belongs in the update method because the load content method only gets executed once at the beginning of the game. So let me put it in the correct spot. And then I'm also going to add the code that's going to let the game end if the user presses escape. So I'm going to go up to that if statement and say, or, actually, you know what? Let me move this and make it the first line of code in the update method. Okay, so now I can check to see if they've pressed the escape key. So it would be keyboard now dot is button pressed. I misspelled keyboard. I'm using a laptop keyboard and I'm not really that great at it. Okay, keys dot escape. Okay, so now if they hit the escape key, and let's see what is wrong here. Was it down? Let's see if it was down. Not pressed. No. Oh, it is key down, not button. Making this screencast longer than it needs to be if I could just get it straight. All right, so now let's try it. Okay, there goes the one guy, and there goes the other guy. Okay, now the problem is, and when I hit escape, it exited the game, which is nice, and stopped debugging. Okay, so now the problem is you only want your sprite to go a fixed number of pixels when they press the button or the key, but then you want to make them have to release the key before they can press the key again and make your sprite move across the screen. So I'm going to make two Boolean variables. So I'm going to go up to where I declare all my variables at the top of the screen, and I'm going to say bool, and then I'm going to say player1 can press, and player2 can, not key press, can press, and player2 can press. And then I'm going to set both of those to be false in the constructor, or in the method of the game1 method. So I'm going to say player1 can, no, I'm not going to set them equal to false. They are going to be true, because when they start the game, the players have not pressed at all, and the first time they can press, they should be able to make their guy go 5 pixels. All right, so now whenever I move the guy, I'm going to change the can press variable for that sprite or that rectangle to be false. Okay, and then I'm going to say if is key down keys.z and player1 can press, then move him. And then I'm going to do the same thing for player2. Oops. Okay, now you may say, okay, well, that's great, but your guy is never going to be able to press again, because if you change the player can press variables to false the first time you move him, or your sprites the first time it detects a key press, and you have this and clause in the condition, then since both of these would have to be true to move the guy, you're never going to be able to move him again. So what we do is add an if statement, so that checks to see if the Z key and the right key is not down, and as soon as it detects that the key is up, it'll change those Boolean variables to being true again, and the user will be able to press again and make the guy move. All right, so I'm going to do the easiest way is to say if not keyboard now.is key down keys.z, then I'm going to say player1 can press equals true, and then I'm going to do the same thing for the other player, except it's going to be keys.right. So let's see. And player2. Okay, so now my sprite should only go a fixed number of times when I press the button.